Sometimes, before a beautiful love story can unfold, a deep transformation within the soul must take place. Before a woman meets the one Allah has destined for her, she often goes through a season of preparation, a phase where her heart, her mindset, and her connection to her Creator are reshaped, refined, and renewed. It's not random, and it's not in vain. It's divine. In this video, we'll journey through 7 profound signs that show a woman is being divinely molded, made ready by Allah for the sacred path of marriage. These signs aren't fleeting emotions or passing moods. They're signals of realignment, inner healing, and a spiritual awakening. If you're currently single, whether you've been waiting patiently for years or have just started thinking about your future, this message is especially for you. Know this with certainty. Allah never delays anything without deep wisdom behind it. The preparation of your soul is just as important as the arrival of your dua. He is cultivating your heart before placing it in the care of another. So let's explore these signs together. Sign 1. A blossoming spiritual awakening. One of the earliest and most beautiful signs that a woman is being prepared by Allah for her future husband is a sincere and powerful shift towards spirituality. She begins to crave closeness to her Lord, not out of duty or fear, but from a place of love, yearning, and gratitude. She starts to view her actions, her thoughts, and her words through the lens of sincerity. Her prayers no longer feel routine. They transform into moments of reflection, where she finds peace, clarity, and emotional release. The Quran begins to feel like it's speaking directly to her soul, and its verses bring tears, strength, and guidance. She seeks Islamic knowledge not to argue or impress others, but to purify her heart and live more meaningfully. She becomes intentional, choosing what pleases Allah, even when it goes against what her ego desires. This isn't a forced change. It unfolds gently, shaped by the trials, lessons, and wisdom she gains along her journey. Her connection with Allah deepens to the point that her faith becomes her anchor. It becomes the solid ground upon which her future marriage will be built, one based on taqwa, mercy, and genuine. Things don't go her way. Her patience matures in her silence during tests, in her kind responses when she feels misunderstood, and in her unwavering trust that what is written for her will never pass her by. This emotional resilience makes her not only strong for herself, but also for the relationship she is being prepared to nurture in the future. Sign 3. A new standard of self-worth. Another sign of divine preparation is the awakening of self-respect. She begins to understand her true worth, not as defined by society or others' validation, but through the honor Allah has given her as a believer and as a woman. She becomes more discerning about who she allows into her life. She distances herself from environments, relationships, and habits that drain her spirit or diminish her value. She stops settling for attention that is shallow and starts valuing connections that are rooted in integrity, love, and faith. This transformation is visible. She becomes modest, not just in dress, but in how she carries herself, in her speech, her choices, her presence. She learns to protect her peace and no longer begs for space in anyone's life. She begins to walk away from places where her worth is not recognized and stands firmly in places where Allah is remembered. She doesn't need someone to complete her. She is already whole, and that wholeness allows her to love deeply without losing herself in the process. Sign 4. Releasing the past to make room for the future. Letting go is one of the hardest, yet most healing steps on the path of divine preparation. She begins to release not only people, but also ideas, dreams, and expectations that no longer align with her growth. This may mean closing the door on a past relationship she once believed was the one. It might require mourning the life she imagined for herself by now. But in choosing to let go, she frees herself from the emotional baggage that weighs down her spirit. She learns that her heart cannot fully embrace what's ahead while still clinging to what's behind. And in this surrender, she finds strength, not weakness. She allows herself to be open to what Allah has written for her, even if it doesn't look like what she had once envisioned. This space, mental, emotional, and spiritual, becomes fertile ground for the seeds of her future. She trusts that Allah's plan, though mysterious, is more perfect than anything she could create for herself. Peaceful relationships. She can support others without becoming emotionally drained. And she can listen with empathy without losing her own balance. She is not ruled by her emotions, but she honors them and uses them wisely. This emotional maturity is not just attractive, it's foundational for a successful marriage. It allows her to be a partner who brings comfort, insight, and emotional safety. Sign 6. Living with purpose and intention. Another powerful sign is that she starts to discover her purpose. She begins asking deeper questions. Why am I here? What legacy do I want to leave? How can I benefit the world? Instead of waiting for marriage to give her life meaning, she begins to craft a meaningful life on her own. She invests in her passions, her skills, her goals. Whether it's a profession, creative endeavor, or community service, she builds a life that reflects her values and her faith. This sense of purpose shapes not only her life, but also the kind of spouse she will attract. A woman with vision is inspiring. She brings depth and direction to a marriage. Her goals extend beyond herself. They encompass her future family, her community, and her deen. She is not just preparing to be loved, she's preparing to build something meaningful with someone. And that clarity gives her strength to face life's trials and joys with courage and hope. Sign 7. Duas that echo her soul. One of the most touching signs of divine readiness is when her prayers transform. Her duas become deeply personal, heartfelt, and intentional. She no longer asks for any good spouse. She prays for someone who will walk beside her in faith, who will challenge her to grow, who will love her with sincerity and lead with compassion. Her prayers reveal the clarity in her heart. She prays for herself, too, that she becomes a nurturing, wise, and God-conscious partner. She may even mention someone specific in her du'as, not out of desperation, but out of intentional trust. This vulnerability with Allah shows how much she's grown. Her faith is no longer about demanding timelines, it's about preparing for what she trusts is already written for her. And every whispered prayer becomes a mirror of who she is becoming, a woman of faith, grace, and unwavering trust in her Lord. So if you recognize yourself in these signs, know this: you are being prepared for something extraordinary. Marriage isn't just about meeting the right person, it's about becoming the right person. If this message touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe.